Okay, this is the joiner. We have a couple different sizes joiners. This one is a 6-inch and this one is an 8-inch. Type of drive, these are all belt drives. You get something stuck in there, you want it to not break the machine. Principal use. What we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of wood and we want it to look pretty and we want to plane it so it looks nice. So we're going to, the principal use is plane it to a smooth edge. Planing to a smooth edge. And we're going to take off the bark or the live edge, or we're going to make something 90 degrees. But we're going to plane it down until we get a nice smooth edge on it. And the reason I use the word plane is because we're going to be planing off an edge. It's different from a planer though. A planer, you take off the top and the bottom, or at least one side, and you're going to make it parallel. When you send it through a planer, it cuts the top and the bottom, and it'll make both piece, or that piece, parallel to itself, the top and the bottom parallel to itself. On this one, you can have a piece at an angle and send it through here, and it's still going to be at an angle when it comes out the other side. It's not going to be parallel. All you're doing is you're taking one edge and you're smoothing it. Or if you start using the fence, you're going to take one edge and make it 90 degrees to another edge. Secondary use, I can tilt this if I loosen this up. I can tilt this backwards and I can send a board through at a bevel or at a chamfer. So secondary use would be beveling and chamfering. If I take this board through, I can tilt it like this and send it like that and cut off the edge, bottom corner of it. So beveling and chamfering. Now I don't want to leave it like that in case somebody comes over here, so I'm going to adjust this back a little bit and tilt this back up. One of the first things I do whenever I come over to a joiner is I will bring a speed square or tri-square or some kind of square, and I'm going to check it. The last person that was before me might have been a really big dude, or it might have been somebody who was having it just off of 90 degrees for some reason or another. So I always check it. If it's a big dude, what happens is they tend to put more pressure on the fence and it can tilt it out of adjustment. So I'm going to come put my speed square on here and I'm going to adjust it back to where it's exactly 90 before I tighten that down. And this does have a lock at 90 degrees, but there is a fine adjustment on the side that you need to always check. And it's really critical that it is 90 degrees. Otherwise, if you're trying to square something up before you go to the table saw, it's not going to work out so well. Alright, so this is how it works. We have a blade right here in the middle that will spin around, and it's going to take off a very small thin layer, usually a 16th to a 32nd of wood. And then it's going to come out on the other side. And to do that, what happens is these two tables are at different heights. The end table is always going to be taller. So you're going to send a piece of wood through, and everything that is below this blade at this height is going to get chopped off, and the rest of the wood is going to just slide out on top of this table coming out the other side. So what's really cool about this machine is you can find a board that's curved, and you can take the curve out on this machine. It's going to plane it to a very smooth, straight edge. And the reason that's important is for starting on the cutting board, you're going to go find some material. And for all intents and purposes, when you first look at this, you think, oh, that's a pretty straight one. But then you run your hand down it and you feel it's really rough, and you realize somebody tried to cut a straight line on a bandsaw. And inevitably, you know that's not going to be straight. So we need to true that up. So we're going to bring it over here and we're going to cut. You can see if I put it here, I've got a gap right there and I've got a gap over here. So we're going to true that up using this machine. Also, on the flip side, what do you see on this side? You see a burn mark. A burn mark means somebody sent it through the table saw, the blade stayed a little bit. What usually happens is they were pushing it through with a push stick, and they got to this point and then something happened, and so they had to adjust something, and then they finished pushing. So it stalled there in the middle, and when it stalled, it rattled a little bit, and when it rattled, while it was up against the blade burned it a little bit, and it means it cut a little bit more. And if it cut a little bit more right there, when I glue it to another piece, what does that mean? It's going to have a gap. Going to have a gap right there. So I need to join that out as well to make sure that I have it completely flat. And sometimes you can take that out on the table saw depending on how sharp your blade is, and other times you can't. Okay, the switch data, the front of all three of these are push button switches. I guess this one's a toggle, but that's fine. Push button switches. Built-in safety features. We already talked about our tables. So we have a table adjustment is a safety feature. We have a blade guard is a built-in safety feature. Table adjustment, blade guard. We also have adjustable fence is a safety feature. And then we have the DCS, dust collection system. By the way, whenever you use this dust collection system, try and make sure all the ports around you on all the other machines are closed so it sucks as much as possible. For some reason, these are always prone to getting clogged.